Shalom, 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 shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise and glory to the God of our forefathers, to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So, as you can see from the title, I had a conversation on Clubhouse with a couple people, but mostly with Captain Tazaryyach of the ISUPK. A good dude, a good dude. I rock with Captain Tazaryyach. That's my guy. But I wanted to bring this conversation to the YouTube. A lot of people was asking about it, so I told y'all yesterday I was gonna bring it up here so y'all can check it out. All right. So I ain't gonna talk your head off. We're just gonna get right to it. Gonna get right to it because y'all know most of my lives are for the replays. So let me put this up here. All right. All right, so let's get to it. Let me know if y'all can hear it. Let me know if y'all can hear it.
Older than 2 years, than a year, then they're good. But as
No,
long as they're
I'm thinking on the Passover. How old does the lamb have to be for the Passover? What I'm asking.
1 year, 1 year.
Right. And so who gets to slaughter that?
All praise, all
The children of
praise.
Israel, the priests, the Levites, is at the temple. Everybody slaughter and eat it.
So everybody kills it? Like they walk around with a bunch of knives
No,
or
what
blades?
the priest would the priest and the
That's
Levites
what I'm
would take
asking you.
it.
So the Levite, right? So you're
Yeah,
saying the Levite is the one that can kill it, but
yeah,
if a person that's not the Levite or the priest, they can't kill it, right?
yeah. They
This
can't.
is me
Okay.
and Captain
I thought you
Tazaryyach.
were saying nobody could kill it, period. But you're saying the priest is the one that carries out
Yeah, but they
the
would have
killing.
to. They would have to do it at the temple to pour the blood on the altar.
Mm.
And if
Yeah,
you
Lord
had
me
a
with y'all.
lamb, if
Yeah.
you had a lamb that you wanted to do, you would have to take it to them to do it,
Mhm.
because that lamb is a holy thing to the Most High. So you can't just do what you want with that. Anything else, he says, anything else that's not used for burnt offerings, that's not used for sacrifices, you can do what you want with those. Kill it, pour the blood out, and eat it. But the things that are used for burnt offerings and sacrifices, those are holy to the Most High, and you cannot do that.
Unless you're a priest.
No, what do you mean? Why you keep saying unless you're a priest?
Because the priest's the only ones that could do it, right?
Well, you confusing me. Even if it's a priest, the priest cannot kill the holy thing away from the temple. If you kill the holy
Before the
thing,
temple was established, did they do it?
yeah, that was before it was established, though. That was
So that means
before.
that means there could be a condition where there's no temple that you still could do it.
No, that was before. Before the law was given in Deuteronomy that it had to be taken to this one specific place. Yeah, they were doing it,
The temple wasn't built in Deuteronomy, right?
but they were going into the land when Joshua built the what's not the tent of meeting, but
Tabernacle.
the tabernacle. When Joshua built it
Yeah, no,
in
I
Shiloh,
get
they
it.
were
No,
there
I
for
get
it.
everything that you're saying, but if they didn't do it before the tabernacle, before the temple was built, and they waited until that time to do it, I probably would kind of see what you're saying. But
But the
because
law
they
was
did it
different
before,
before that time, though. It's the
but
same
before
thing. Like
the
in
law is different now. We're not in the temple. So what the point I'm making is
the law is not
that
different now.
the point I'm making is that if they could do it outside of the temple, because there wasn't no temple, and then there's no temple now, but the Lord
That's not
said,
why though.
"Where I put my name at,"
That's not
then
why
you
though.
can't say.
No, that's not why though. You keep saying the why. They were doing it in the wilderness because the Ark of the Covenant was following them around. That was the Most
The
High's
law
will.
don't say it got to be the Ark of the Covenant. The law say
Yes,
it got to be in the temple.
no. It's what's in the temple. What was the temple built for?
I'm not concerned with what's in the temple. I'm
But
just
that
saying that they did it before the temple. You're
because they
harping
had
that
the
it has
Ark.
to. What you're harping on is that it has to be done in the temple. That's your position.
That's what the
You're
Bible
mentioning the Ark
teaches.
now.
You know what I learned with this conversation, that a lot of Israelites do not understand the necessity or the importance of the ark. A lot of them don't understand that. That's what I learned from this conversation I'm having with Tazaryyach. But let's continue.
I don't have a problem with that either. But I'm talking about what you're saying. You bringing up the Ark now. What I'm saying is that they sacrificed before the temple was built.
Why
If you want to say because they had the Ark, that's fine. But they
exactly?
didn't. So you're saying you can still do it halfway. So
No,
is it because they have the Ark or because there's a temple? Which one?
Listen, I'm gonna try to explain this to you. Right, when they leave out of Egypt, the second year they build the ark, and they build the ark, and they put the ark in the tent of meeting. That ark was following them around. That's why they had to go to the temple door. I mean, the tent of meeting door, because God dwells among the two cherubim on the ark of the covenant. They go there to consume with God. They meet the presence of God. The ark followed them around. So they were able to do stuff because the ark followed them around. Once they went into the land, the ark no longer followed them around. The ark was placed in a specific place. So now they had to go to the ark to do it. Before, the ark followed them around. Once they went into the land, the ark was put in a specific place. So that's why they had to go to that place now. So the
So
reason
your
they were doing
argument
it
is that the ark. Your argument is the ark, then, not the temple.
is the same thing because the ark is in the
Not
temple.
the same.
The reason the temple was made is for the ark. That's the whole reason the temple was made.
You want to know what I've never heard anybody say?
The
I've
whole
never
reason the
heard anybody. I've never heard anybody say or use the argument that the first Passover was kept in Egypt. Like I've never heard anybody
people use
admit
that.
that. I've never heard it used. I've never heard it used.
They always try
So
to use it against you.
if you want to argue the ark and the temple, the first Passover, they never had any of that.
This my guy Awatazar. Good dude, good brother, but doctrine is horrible.
So they had to keep it there, right?
But that
Without the ark and the temple. But I know you're going to say, well, that's different. But how
it's
is it
not different.
different?
That wasn't. They weren't keeping in Exodus. They were not keeping the Passover. That was the actual live action where they had to put the blood, where they had to be protected from the plague of the unborn. That is the reason why we celebrate Passover. They didn't celebrate Passover in Egypt. Like that's like I don't know why
It's
people
just
keep
a
saying that.
memorial, Gadol. It's just a memorial. That's
But
it, brother.
we memorialize it because of what happened in Egypt. We weren't
Exactly.
memorializing it in Egypt. The
Facts.
situation in
They
Egypt
took a
happened.
blood oath in
This
Egypt.
hold on. The situation in
No,
Egypt
you're gonna eat your
happened.
nuggets first.
The situation in Egypt happened, and then after that, we memorialize what happened in Egypt. They weren't
Exactly.
celebrating Passover in Egypt. Like
I don't know, and I like that's probably like the one of the worst arguments that they do. Oh well, they celebrated Passover. No, they didn't. Like what? Like how can you celebrate something that didn't happen yet? This is crazy.
I
Yeah,
don't
I
understand.
understand what you say. I understand what you're saying, Gadol. But the Passover was literally kept in Egypt.
You keep
No,
saying
it
That's
kept
it. It done. It was done in Egypt, brother. It was done in Egypt. It was literally done outside of the land with no ark and no temple
because
and no tabernacle. So
listen.
for you, that's what I'm trying to say. For you to say, "Oh, you can't do it because you don't have any of that." Well, it was the first one was actually done without any of that. That's all I'm
No,
saying.
watch this. Y'all keep using Exodus as if they celebrated Passover in Egypt. That's not a celebration in Egypt. The Passover in Egypt was the death angel passing over their houses so they wouldn't be killed. They had to put the blood on the door so they could be protected from that. That is the reason we celebrate Egypt. I mean, celebrate Passover. So
Hey, did they
when they
sacrifice in Egypt when they did it?
hold on. So when they left out of Egypt, they didn't keep Passover until the ark was made. They
facts.
didn't celebrate Passover for the first time until the ark was made.
Did they sacrifice in Egypt?
Yes.
Okay, then. So they could sacrifice in Egypt. There's no temple. There's nothing.
Oh
So
my
when you say
god.
that it wasn't a celebration, it was a whole sacrifice. Wisdom of Solomon 18 and
It's a sad.
9 tells you they sacrifice. So I don't care if people don't want to keep the Passover. I mean, Lord be with you with not keeping it. But can't nobody show me I cannot keep it.
All right, I'm
Once
gonna
they
read.
say where the Lord puts his name at, the Lord put his name in ISUPK. I can read that in the scriptures that
Oh,
he
And that's one of the big problems right there. He said the Lord put his name in the ISUPK, and he doesn't understand the name that's being talked about in the Torah, where you can only keep Passover, where he put his name. It's talking about the Ark of the Covenant. It's not talking about no metaphoric name. It's not talking about no power, authority. not talking about that. It's talking about the Ark of the Covenant. And this is how people get into sin.
Oh
Put
my
his
God.
name in the captivities that we're in. So
Because that's because you don't understand what it's referring to when it's talking
I
about the name.
understand.
So
I
I'm
understand
hold on.
everything that you're
No,
referring
you
to.
don't. Watch this. I'm gonna go to 2 Samuel 7, and you go
Hmm.
and you
And then you
explain
tell
to
me
me.
where it's a sin if I
No, no,
keep
no.
it out here.
I'm gonna go to
Let's do
Second
both.
Samuel 7 and explain to me what name are they talking about here? Because you're
Where
this
you going
name,
at?
2 Samuel 7.
7, the whole chapter?
I'm gonna read like one verse, baby. I ain't gonna read the whole
Okay,
chapter. Right.
gotcha.
So I'm gonna read verse. I'm gonna start at verse 1. And it came. I'm gonna read in KJV. And it came to pass when the king sat in his house, and the Lord had given him rest about from all his enemies, that the king said unto Nathan the prophet, See now, I dwell in house of cedar, but the ark of God dwelleth within curtains. So you understand this to be that David is talking about how he dwells in the house, but the ark dwells in curtains, right?
Okay.
Right? You correct you agree with that? Just want to
Yep.
all
Yep.
right.
I'm fine. That's what the text say, right?
All right. So Nathan in verse 3, and Nathan said to the king, Go and do all that is in thy heart, for the Lord is with thee. And it came to pass that night that the word of the Lord came unto Nathan, saying, Go and tell my David servant, go and tell my servant David, thus saith the Lord, Thou shalt not build me in house to dwell in. So David wanted to build a house for the ark. God sends Nathan
For
to
the
tell
Ark.
Daniel, No,
Pay
you're
attention.
not going to build in house for me to dwell in, right?
Hmm.
So this
This
whole
is when he's telling them how Solomon's gonna build it.
yes, so this whole
Right.
context is the ark of the covenant being placed in the house, right? So now we're gonna jump down to verse.
And after I read this next verse, the conversation should be over about what the name of the Lord is. But it wasn't. Just
13, verse 12. And when thy days be fulfilled, that thou shalt sleep with thy fathers, I will set up thy seed after thee, which shall proceed out of thy bowels, and I will establish his kingdom. And he shall build in name for he shall build an house for my name.
Right.
In this context, what is God calling his name?
The temple.
The ark.
Okay, if you want to say ark temple there, but
Because
they already
David,
have the ark there.
because
But
David
he's building a place for the ark to sit in. That's
to
what you're
sit in, right?
saying,
Because
right?
David said he wanted to build in the house for the
Right. And then the
for the
Lord said,
ark
"You
because it
can't
does.
build it for me. This will build it for me." Right.
So in this context, the name of the Lord, what he was referring to, is talking about the ark. It's not talking about power. It's not talking about authority. It's not talking about a spirit that's in this
Hey,
person.
well, I'm talking
It-
about when I say his name either. I ain't
okay,
talking
but
about power
all right, but
or anything.
this name specifically is talking about the ark of the covenant.
I still don't see how I can't keep the Passover. You ain't
like how you oh my, we're gonna just let it go.
All
showing me
right,
nothing.
all right.
But
So
your position is here's what.
no, the
But your
reason why I
position.
did that, no, because I want to go to Deuteronomy 16 now. Because we, in context, the name that we're talking about is the ark. So in Deuteronomy 16, it says, Observe the month of Abib and keep the Passover unto the Lord thy God. For in the month of Abib, the Lord thy God hath brought thee forth out of Egypt by night. Thus shalt thou sacrifice the Passover unto the Lord thy God of thy flock
Where?
and the herd in
What
the
verse you at?
place in the place which the Lord shall choose to place his name there.
So we know what's being placed is the Ark. The Ark is the name. That's what we know. The Ark is not with the ISUPK. The Ark is not with the IUIC. The Ark is not with HOI. The Ark is not with the House of Bread. The Ark is not with none of these Israelite camps that's slaughtering these lambs in America. The Ark is not in America.
The name that
What
they're
verse you
talking
talking about?
about, I'm sorry, what you say?
What verse?
I just read Deuteronomy 16, verses 1 and 2.
Got
So the name that he's talking about is the Ark of the Covenant. It's
you.
not
So
talking about no metaphor. It's not talking about. It's talking about the Ark.
no problem. So and again, you could take that position. I still ain't heard nothing that you said that says I can't keep the Passover here.
In this chapter. We're going to continue reading. If we get down to verse
Yeah, when it says, "Thou mayest not sacrifice the Passover with any of thy gates, which the Lord thy God giveth thee."
in verse 6.
He knows the verse, but still says nothing that said that he can't keep it in America. The verse he just quoted and just read tells you you may not do it within any of your gates, but only at the place where the Most High chose His name to dwell. And we know the name is the Ark. Like,
But at
Mm-hmm.
the place
Uh-huh.
which the Lord shall choose to cause His name to dwell there. So
Got
it's
you. And
telling
so
you you can only sacrifice the Passover
right.
in the
And
place.
so my position is like in Ezekiel 11:16, where the Lord will be a sanctuary. My position is that that sanctuary is my school, so I can
oh
keep it
my
I can keep
God.
every feast day because that's where His name is at. Now you can disagree,
So
but I still
is
ain't
the ark
saying.
And then he keeps saying that's what his name at. After we just read the text to tell you the name that's being talked about is the Ark of the Covenant. Now watch this question I asked him.
of the
It's
covenant? Is the ark of the covenant in ISUPK?
no, but the Ark of the Covenant wasn't
What
in
about that
Egypt
one
when they
y'all made
first
last year?
Oh
What
my
about that one y'all
goodness.
made last
Cap,
year?
come on.
That wasn't last year. That was 2 years ago.
The ark of the
Um,
covenant. This text is talking about
there
the
was no
ark
Ark of the
of
Covenant
the
in
covenant.
Egypt when they sacrificed there either. And so when we keep this feast day,
This
I'm
is
not seeing
crazy.
where it's a sin if I do.
It literally tells you you cannot sacrifice the Passover
I get it.
any
And
other
your
place.
position is if the ark ain't there, that's His name. I disagree. I think we can sacrifice because we can see them
He disagreed with the Bible. Tazaryyach is my guy, but he disagreeing with the Bible.
keeping the feast days before temple, before the ark, that I can keep the Passover.
When did they celebrate Passover before the ark was
When
made?
they first made the sacrifice in Wisdom of Solomon, the 18th chapter, it says they sacrificed in secret and took that. The whole thing. When you read Wisdom of
Oh,
Solomon,
that's
18,
that's not my argument.
But
I
didn't
know they
Jeremiah hide the
sacrificed.
Ark of the Covenant?
Well, yeah, but
not in Wisdom,
that's not
not in Egypt.
Not right, but
that's what we talking
after
about. We
that,
talking about Egypt.
they still kept Passover after the Ark of the Covenant wasn't around.
Oh,
You said what? What you
damn.
said?
He said when the ark was gone, they still kept Passover.
In
Damn,
Jerusalem.
damn.
In
But the ark ain't
Jerusalem.
there,
In
so
the
you got to make up your mind. Is it the
but
ark or is it the
it's
temple?
in the place where he placed his
But the
name.
ark ain't there now.
But it's still in the place. This is not
Yo, it's sad. The text says in the place where he chose his name to dwell there. The brother refers to in Ezra after Babylon, where they don't have the ark, where they're keeping Passover in Jerusalem. Jerusalem is the place where the ark was put. That's why they're keeping it in Jerusalem. Like, yo, this is crazy, man. Yo, Israelites, I think they get weaker and weaker. But Camp Israelites, I think they get weaker and weaker by the day, man.
understanding. It's in the place. The place where the Most High
Shalom,
put the
Come
shalom.
on,
ark
big dog.
is
Come
in
on, man.
Jerusalem.
Now it ain't the ark no more. Now it's Jerusalem.
It's
Which one
in the
is it?
place. Like, I'm gonna read it
The ark
again.
is gone though, but you made it about the ark. You just kept
It's
making about the
it's
ark,
the
the ark, the ark,
it's
the
the
ark, the ark.
place.
And now the ark ain't there. Now it's the place.
Captain, listen to what I'm saying.
It's not
It's
a
the
clean line of
place.
sight.
It is. It's
You
the
calling me captain, let
place.
me know you getting mad at me.
Because
You
I
ain't
want
never
you.
called
No,
me
I'm not getting
fucking
mad.
captain.
I just want you to listen because I feel like you're smart enough to understand. In the wilderness, the ark traveled with them. So everywhere the ark was, they were able to do that. When they went into the land, the ark was placed in Shiloh. So they were able to do it in Shiloh. When it got moved to Jerusalem, the
Facts.
ark was placed in Jerusalem. So they had to do it in Jerusalem. When they came out of Babylon, they did it in Jerusalem because that's the place the Most High chose. That's the place he put his ark. So even though the ark was not there anymore, Jerusalem is
It's
still
still
the
the
place he
place.
chose.
No problem. And even though the ark is not here, ISUPK is the place he chose.
No, he
That's
wait,
where
let
he woke us up to the truth. That's where once again, so
show me a book
you
chapter
can't
verse
make
where
a
he says that,
position,
bro. Show me a
Ezekiel
book
11
chapter
and
verse.
16, when the Lord said he'll be a sanctuary to us in this captivity. Excuse me, where we are carried away to, that's him. That's for us.
So you
That's
telling me, hold on. So you telling me the Most High took his ark and placed it and chose
I didn't say nothing
ISUPK.
about the ark. I'm talking about his
Because
name.
that's
You
the
just see once again you're not
oh my
solid
God.
right now, Gadol. It's either the ark or the temple or the name. So
It's the
now
place where he put the ark.
no problem. And I say in Ezekiel 11:16, therefore say, thus saith the Lord God, although I've scattered them far off among the heathen, although I've scattered them among the countries, yet I will be to them as a little sanctuaries in the countries where they shall come. ISUPK is that sanctuary. That's where his name is
That's
at. And if we
not
decide to keep them feast days where he carried us, we can keep them. You lost
Cap.
the moment. I forgot about them still keeping the Passover even after the ark was gone. You lost
I never said they
once
couldn't keep the Passover when the ark wasn't gone. It's
you
the
said the ark
place.
had to be there.
No, I did not. I said
You
it's the
said
place where he chose the
you
ark.
said before they got the
Where he
temple,
chose to
they
put the
had the
ark.
ark. And then they never kept the feast day without the ark. And then they put the ark in the temple.
No,
That's where the Lord's name was at. Then the
I
brother
know.
came off
Cap. I
mute and
didn't say
said,
that. Cap. I didn't say that. I said before they built the ark, they did not keep Passover. After they built the ark, they
that's
keep
what I just
Passover.
said.
Listen. I know you didn't. You said I said they never kept Passover without the ark. I didn't say they never
Mm-hmm.
kept Passover without the ark. I never said that once. I said they didn't keep Passover until the ark was made during the time of the wilderness. When the ark was made, the ark followed around them, and they kept it every place the ark was. When they got into the land, the ark was placed in Gilgal first. They kept the Passover there. When they went to Shiloh, they kept the Passover there. When they went to Jerusalem, the Most High said Jerusalem is his place forever. They kept the Passover there. When they came out of Babylon, they still kept the Passover in Jerusalem because it tells you Jerusalem is the place he chose. Jerusalem was the place. How did he chose it? He put his ark there. So even though the ark isn't there no more, Jerusalem was still the place the ark
No problem.
was, and
So
that's
now
the
we
place the
back.
ark
So
was
now we
at.
back.
You see how simple that is? Simple. But people so blinded by those camp doctrines, man.
Back to the
Hold on, and that's
original
the place he chose.
no problem. And now we're back to the original argument of just talking about the temple and his name without the ark. We don't have to talk about the ark no more because you just said because the
The
name
ark
was
is
there.
important to this, though. What are you talking about?
Here, the ark is important. I'm not taking away from the ark importance or not. What I am saying is irrelevant to this conversation
No,
because
it's not.
if in Jerusalem they can keep the Passover without the ark and it's based on his name, then his name is here with me right now,
Oh
and I
my
can do the
god,
exact
man.
same thing. And nobody can
You're
show me
making that
where
up.
it's a. I'm
You
not
can't
making it up.
show
If
me.
you want
You
to say
can't
you
show
don't
me that.
believe me that the Lord's name is in ISUPK, you can say that.
You can't
But
prove it.
I can prove it.
No, you
I can
can't.
prove it by what we do, what we teach, how we keep the commandments, how we build the
Hey,
kingdom.
Then you can.
But it's going to come.
hey, Tazaryyach, my boy. But his whole breakdown, his whole understanding is based on trust me, bro. Look what your source said. Read it in the Bible. Just trust me. Just trust me. That's his whole. He ain't got not one Bible verse to prove any of that.
Come
You can
down to
believe that,
is
but you
you
can't
just
prove
don't.
it.
Once again, the only thing you can say is you don't believe that the Lord's name is
No,
in
I can say you
ISUPK.
can't prove it. I can say you
I
can't
can prove.
prove
I
it.
just said it.
You can't.
I just said it. I just said it by not only
Was the
by.
he said I can prove it. I just said it. Like that. You said that it's not proving it. You said, come on, Cap. You said it's not proving it, man. You cannot prove the name of the Most High is in the ISUPK, especially in the context we're talking about the Ark of the Covenant. Passover is only able to be kept in the place the Most High put the Ark in the Covenant. That's it, and that's Jerusalem. The Ark of the Covenant was never put in America. ISUPK don't got the Ark of the Covenant. And you can't just say it and then say, I just said it. I proved it. You ain't proved nothing. You just saying it. And we don't believe you, Cap. You need more people.
was the
Saying it,
ark
but by the works.
ever was the ark ever in
Facts.
America?
No, I never. You
So
keep
the Most High
again.
didn't
You
choose no
can't
place
talk
in
about the
America.
ark because if the ark is your litmus test, and they shouldn't have been keeping the Passover in Jerusalem, and you're gonna say,
What?
Oh
but the
my.
Lord's name was there, and so now because the Lord's name is there, they can keep the
The,
Passover in
the
Jerusalem.
Lord,
So
the
I
Lord's
believe
name.
that the Lord's name is right here, right now with
No,
ISUPK,
because
and
you
so
don't
I can keep it.
understand. You don't understand
I
that the
understand it
ark.
perfectly.
That's why I try to show you in 2 Samuel. The ark is called the name. So when the Most High
Why we talk
put
about
the
the
ark,
ark when the
hold on,
ark wasn't in the
hold on,
temple
hold
during
on,
Christ?
hold on, because when you talk about because Jerusalem is the place He chose. The ark
So if
was
Jerusalem is the place he chose, for me,
listen,
ISUPK is the place he chose in his
listen,
captivity, and I can keep it.
listen, Cap. The Most High took the ark and with King David, placed it in Jerusalem, and He chose Jerusalem. That's the place. We can go to over 10, 15 scriptures where it tells you, I've
I'm not going to
chosen
argue that.
Hold on. I've chosen Jerusalem. So when they came out of Babylon, even though the ark is not there, Jerusalem is still the place He chose for them to do that. And we can go into the Bible and prove book, chapter, and verse how the Most High and when the Most
Boom.
High chose Jerusalem by the ark being there at time periods. You cannot show nowhere in the Bible where the ark was in America for the Most High to choose America. Choose America. Nowhere. It's only about what you believe. You cannot prove that.
Whoo!
My argument ain't about the ark. That's you made this about the ark. I didn't. My argument was not the ark.
His argument is not about the ark. The Torah, the law, the Passover is about the ark. They got to go to Jerusalem 3 times a year to present themselves before the Lord. Why? Because the ark is there. They present themselves before the ark. They're presenting themselves before the dwelling of the Most High. They're presenting themselves where? In the place the Most High chose, His holy city. That's the whole reason to go to Jerusalem, because the Most High chose Jerusalem as the place. The Most High did not choose America. The Ark of the Covenant never touched America. And just because you say it don't mean it's true.
That's the what it
My
don't.
argument in Deuteronomy 16, it talks about where his name is at. His name was, the ark wasn't built in Egypt, and they kept the Passover before the ark was built. The ark was, excuse me, they kept.
The argument they try to make, oh, they kept the Passover outside of Jerusalem before they went into the land. That's like saying before Noah, they only ate they didn't eat any meat, right? They didn't eat any meat. That's like saying, oh, before Noah they didn't eat any meat, so you guys can't eat meat. What? What are you talking about? Noah came, and with Noah, God said we can eat meat because it changed with Noah. Get with the update, get with the program. So before they went into the land, they were able to do it in the wilderness. But once Deuteronomy came the 40th year, God said, oh, no more of that. You can only do it in this place. Now you have to get with the program. Get with the program. Before it went to Jerusalem, it was Shiloh for about almost 400 years. After Jerusalem was picked, you can't. It's no more Shiloh. You got to come to Jerusalem. You can't say, "Well, I'm going to Shiloh." No, get with the program. It's Jerusalem now. Like what don't they want to? They want to go before. They want to go before Deuteronomy and want to keep it that way. No, get with the program. Deuteronomy. Moses said, Deuteronomy 16. You have to go to Jerusalem 3 times a year, and one of them being Passover and unleavened bread. Get with the program. You can't try to go back before go back before this law was given and try to keep it in the wilderness. Come on, bro.
Kept the Passover after the ark was taken. So I'm not arguing about the ark. I'm arguing that the Lord's name is with my school.
How can you say you're not arguing about the ark then going to the name? The name in question is talking about the ark. In Deuteronomy 16, it's talking about the ark.
And I can keep every feast day just like I can keep every law. That's it. The only argument you can make with me is that you don't believe that the Lord's name is there. And so that's why I can't do it. That's the only argument you can make.
And you
I got to
can't.
take a call.
I got you.
I appreciate it.
And you can't. And he can't prove it either because second said they keep talking about this name like they try to make the name that's talking about in the law spiritual. It tells you the name that they're referring to is the ark. And once the ark went into Jerusalem, and God said, "This is the place I've chosen forever," that's the place. So when you go to Jerusalem, even the law tells you in Exodus 22. Hold on, let me Exodus 20. Even when the ark not there. Look what it tells you. Exodus 20, verse 24. An altar of earth shalt thou make unto me, and thou shalt sacrifice thereon burnt offerings, thy peace offerings, thy sheep, and thy oxen. In all the places I record my name, I will come to thee, and I will bless thee. So when you build an altar in the places the Most High chose his name, he will come to you. What's the places? He placed his name in Shiloh, he placed his name in Gilgal, he placed his name in Jerusalem. So after Babylon, when you go to the book of Ezra, they build an altar in the place he chose, and that's why that was able to happen according to the law.
Boom.
But you cannot show me nowhere in the Bible where the ark, which is the name in context, is ever in America to do that in America. That's just you just blatantly just being dishonest with the text.
It's in Arkansas.
Shout out to Yoshi.
Oh, it's crazy, man.
Let me pause this, right? You see, normally Cap my guy, so I'm not gonna say Cap ran from me. I'm not gonna say that. But normally when Cap get a call, he get on this call, he stay in the room, he come back and talk. He talking about he got a call and he left the stage. He just left the room. I was on his grass. It's my boy though. I was on his grass. He left. He said, man, I don't want no more of this. He left. Look, if you look at hold on, let me see. I'll put this. If you look at the stage, he left. He's not even up here no more. He left the room. Cap, you my boy, but I ain't gonna say you ran from me, but I ain't gonna.
Yeah, but if that argument, all you gotta do is go to 2 Samuel 7, and when David is building the house wanted to build the house for the ark, God tells him that ark is his name. It ain't talking about no, oh, you got nicknamed after him. It's not talking about no authority. It's not talking about no power. It's not talking about no doctrine. That name is talking about the ark. And it's that simple.
I'm gonna go to 2 Samuel 7 real fast and read
Well,
this.
I know Godard don't play when it comes to sacrifices in the proper places at the proper time with the proper animal in the proper manner by the proper people.
That was my boy
I know
Yoshi.
Godard don't play that.
I mean, because it's like the law says if you want to eat meat, consume meat, you can take any.
That's the end of the conversation with me and Cap. He ran. He said he got a phone call and left the room. I ain't gonna say you ran, Cap, but I ain't gonna say you didn't run either. Hold on, I wanna read this a little bit. I wanna read this, right? Let's read 2 Samuel 7 a little bit real fast because to understand what the ark is, this is a good text to understand. I mean, to understand what the name is, this is a good text to understand. And I'm going to do a whole lesson on the name of the Lord, on the ark. I'm going to do a whole lesson on that. Maybe 2 to 3 weeks. I'm going to put together a presentation, and we're going to do that on this channel so people could get a better understanding of the importance of the ark and the name and why it's even called the name. Right, so let's read this, right? It says, and it came to pass when the king dwelt in his house, and the Lord had given him rest from all his enemies round about, that the king said unto Nathan the prophet, see now, I dwell in the house of cedar, but the ark of God dwelleth within curtains. So as we can see, David is worried about what? The ark dwelling within curtains, right? Verse 4. And it came to pass that same night, and remember the context of this. The context of this is talking about a place for the ark. That's the context. And it came to pass that the same night that the word of the Lord came unto Nathan, saying, go and tell my servant David, thus saith the Lord, shalt thou build me a house for me to dwell in? For I have not dwelt in a house since the day I brought up the children of Israel out of Egypt, even to this day, but have walked in a tent and in a tabernacle. So God is saying, you building a house for me? I haven't dwelt in the house. I've been in this tent in the tabernacle. Because what's in the tent in the tabernacle? The ark. That's what's talking about. In all places where I have walked among all the children of Israel, I spoke a word with any of the tribes of Israel, who I commanded to feed my people, saying, why have you not built me a house of cedar? So God is walking with them, amongst them. How is he walking among them? It tells you how. in the tent and in the tabernacle. What's in the tent and in the tabernacle? The Ark of the Covenant. This is how God dwells amongst the people. How? The Ark of the Covenant. This is what we read in verse 8. Now, therefore, thus shalt thou say unto my servant David, thus saith the Lord of hosts, I took thee from the sheepcote, from following the sheep, that thou shouldest be my prince over my people, over Israel. And I have been with thee whatsoever thou didst go. And I have cut off all thy enemies before thee. And I will make thee a great name, like unto the name of the great ones that are in the earth. And I will appoint a place for my people Israel, and I will plant them that they may dwell in their own place, and be disquieted no more. Neither shall the children of wickedness afflict them any more, as at the first, even from the day that I commanded judges to be over my people Israel, and I will cause thee to rest from all thy enemies. Moreover, the Lord telleth thee that the Lord will make thee a house. And when thy days are fulfilled, and thou shalt sleep with thy fathers, I will set up thy seed after thee, that shall proceed out of thy body, and I will establish his kingdom. Pay attention to this verse. He shall build a house for my name. So it says, no, David, you're not going to build my house, but your son is going to build my house. And what he's going to build the house for? My name. And in context, what is this house being built to hold? Where is that? The ark of God that dwelleth in curtains. This is what the tabernacle. This is what the tent of meeting. This is what the temple was built for. It was built for the ark because that's where God dwells at amongst the people. This is what it was built for. So when we go to Deuteronomy 16 and it says, let's see, verse 5, when it says, thou mayest not sacrifice the Passover within any of thy gates, which the Lord thy God giveth thee, but at the place which the Lord thy God shall choose to cause his name to dwell in, there thou shalt sacrifice the Passover at evening at the going down of the sun, and thou shalt roast it and eat it in the place which the Lord thy God shall choose. That is talking about where he placed the ark, where the tabernacle and the temple was eventually built. That's what this is talking about. And where was that built at? In Jerusalem. In Jerusalem. The name that's talking about, the place where he chose his name to dwell, is talking about the Ark of the Covenant. It's that simple. It's that simple. So all you camp Israelites out here teaching this false doctrine, talking about you can keep slaughter Passover in America, you guys are directly breaking the law, Deuteronomy 16, Deuteronomy 12. You guys are breaking the law. You guys are angering God. You guys are blatantly turning your back on God. And you guys need to repent. It's that simple. You need to repent. You're breaking the law. But I hope y'all enjoyed that conversation. It's me, Captain Tazaryyach, talking about the name, where Passover could be kept. As you can see, my last about 4 videos was about this topic, about Passover in America. That was a sin. So because it's Passover season, so that's what we're talking about. Passover's coming up, and everybody's breaking the law. The Most High, and that's why so much stuff going on in the Israelite community right now. You got dudes being outed for pedophilia. You got dudes being outed for beating up women. You got dudes being outed for a whole bunch of stuff. You got camps breaking up, new camps popping up, whole much strife and stuff in the Israelite community because God not with them, bro. God not with them. First, they got the false Messiah. They following the false Messiah, and then they just blatantly breaking the law. God is not with them. I hope God continue to, try to get them brothers to repent, turn back, correct themselves. but eventually God is going to abandon them, and just say off with them. But Captain Tazaryyach is my guy. I don't got nothing bad to say about Captain Tazaryyach. It was a good discussion, good build, and no, and Most High willing, they repent and return back to him. But this video was meant to be short, 40 minutes. That's good. I try to keep it under an hour. But what time is it? It's a 10:30, so I'm about to get off. Make sure y'all thumb up the video, drop a comment, share it, subscribe to the channel, and I'm gonna try to be more consistent, more videos, more education, more breakdowns. But shalom, all praise to the Most High.